Kitty, what a pleasure to see you at the World Economic Forum this time.
Thanks, Tian. It's a pleasure to be here, especially with you.
Thank you so much. Before traveling to AMNC now, you were in Gansu.
Yes.
One of the provinces in China's west, and comparatively speaking, still has not developed as fast as the other parts of the China's region. Tell us more about your takeaway from there. How do you interact with the people from the grassroots?
My visit in Gansu was really looking at healthy start for children, healthy development and healthy growth. And I visited an MCH, a maternal and child health hospital at county level, a township hospital and village doctors. Healthy start, so neonatal care, safe deliveries, but very important for us, early bonding between mother and child. So new guidelines contextualized to China on delayed clamping, on skin-to-skin contact immediately when babies are born, kangarooing, early breastfeeding, because the bond between a mother and a child is crucial for its development. Right. The second part really is on healthy development. So children need to be stimulated. Parents, how do they talk to their children? That they sing, that they dance, they play with children. And for mothers then to support each other. And then last but not least, really also the healthy growth bit. We still face issues on food diversity and nutritional value. And so our supplementary feeding program, together with, as I said, the county hospital, the township hospital, right up to the village level, making sure that there's a nutritious diet so that children actually grow up to become healthy adults and get a really good kickstart in life between the ages of 0 to 3 years old. And I was really impressed with the professionalism, the skills of frontline healthcare workers, and their dedication to getting children off to a good start.
I know UNICEF has been bringing, South-South cooperation partners together with yours on your platform, with your support. So how does that work now, especially when the world now is changing so fast?
Look, I think where it begins is really the joint commitment that we have with China to make sure that every child everywhere is growing to their full potential, is getting all the rights that they have. And so we have been working on that as UNICEF in 190 countries across the world since the beginning. And now that China has developed to an example that we need to emulate in other parts of the world, we have come to a partnership with China, particularly with CITCA, the Chinese International Development Agency, to spread the example that China has across the world. And so we're now working with CITCA's support in partnership in 20 different countries, in 22 different projects, really bringing that perspective localized to the context in Asia and Africa particularly, and to bring that perspective of a pathway to dignity for everyone.
Let's go to climate change. You have been working a lot with your teams on that, but we see there has been a slowdown of pace of green transformation over the past few years out of a set of different reasons. Now, we know that it's going to have a huge impact on the overall global movement on climate change. Infiltrate down to the rights of children, of course. So what do you make of this general reality?
The 1.5 degree reality. Already we are seeing enormous impacts on the lives of children. We are looking at impacts that are starting before children are born. And few people realize that. But what we see with heat waves is that children are being born too early. That we see that there is an increased level of stillbirths, so that children start disadvantaged from the get-go from a health perspective. Few people realize that breast milk is impacted by heat waves and drought. So the composition, but also the quantity of breast milk is being reduced. So again, newborn children don't get the head start that they need. If you look at levels of malnutrition, what we see is that crop yields are going down because of changes in rainfall patterns, because of heat waves or flooding. If as a young child you don't get the right variety of food, nutritious food, your cognitive development is impaired. It leads to lifelong cognitive impairment that children can never recuperate from. How are we going to deal with that reality as the number of children are growing and food crops are declining. So for us, bringing children at the center of research, understanding based on evidence what the impacts are, so we can guide policies and we can guide finance streams to make sure that children not just survive, but again, that they thrive and reach their full potential.
Kitty, how do you see the girls? Are they still being the focus? How much can still be done in order to make them still under spotlight, as you said, about our own future together?
Tian, if there is one big challenge that we have in this world beyond climate change, really it is the issue of gender equality. And as a person, I can share with you my deep frustration. I just read the WEF report that gender equality is still 135 years out. Mm-hmm. So my daughter will not see it, gender equality. My daughter's daughter will not see it. The daughter of my daughter's daughter will not see gender equality, and her daughter and her daughter and her daughter. Quite frankly, I'm losing patience. I'm no longer anxious, I am getting angry. We know what we have to do. We know that girls are disadvantaged from the get-go. Very often they get less nutrition. They have less educational opportunities. They share a higher burden of domestic work. They are vulnerable for gender-based violence. Look at what's happening in the DRC, in Haiti. But look in many countries where girls have to go out to fetch water and risk their physical integrity, where women have to wait till the cover of nightfall to relieve themselves in the field and again risk violence, where girl marriage is still happening. In that world, it is UNICEF's position that every girl has the same right as every boy and every child to a life in dignity. And so what we do is working with girls and for girls to enable them, to empower them, and to equip them with education, with skills, so that they can succeed in this world. And we will do whatever it takes with governments, with private sector partners, to ensure that girls thrive, because we don't have the patience as a global community to wait for another 35 years, not just because it is the morally right thing to do, but it is also the economically rational thing to do. We are losing a large perspective of growth, of innovation, of creativity, if we let half of mankind fall by the wayside.
When it comes to children's rights, nutrition, particularly very early stage, so important. China has a very rich culture in food. Yes. I hope you also had some taste of that here in Dalian and beyond. But putting the food culture aside, how to globally make sure the nutrition part of the diet is being understood well and be able to implement once again in their local menus for the children. I would love to hear from you. I'm sure there are a lot of parents who will also have their ears out listening to you. Tell us more about that before we go.
Let me just say, I spent time in Beijing, in Guangzhou, and here in Dalian, and I'm a food lover, I'm a foodie, and I have enjoyed the most phenomenal food here in both taste and texture. I'm vegetarian. And it was just magnificent. And so the joy of food is something that I truly share with China. We have trained, if only in China, almost 300,000 community health workers to speak and to work with communities to talk about the importance of food diversity, to talk about the importance of nutritional value right from the get-go when children start to go to solid.
Kitty, what a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Tian. It was a pleasure to be with you. Thank you.